facilities in the area that can accommodate those sorts of major life events. I think this is
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
It says a standard practice in such, this is a standard practice in such hunting clubs across Wisconsin. How many hunting clubs are there in Rock County?
In Rock County, I think there's a handful of them. They're certainly spread out across the entire state. I think I've seen at least one website that shows about 50 across Wisconsin.
I was gonna say, how many in the Southern District? Have you got any data to back this up that they allow this? Because I actually go to a number of these, have been to a number of them throughout the state. And there's not a single one that has had a wedding at it. Not a single one that has had a graduation party. They do allow gatherings of hunters that are in there. And as I told Tom Davis before in the meeting, they better be dressed in hunting clothes, and that's what we were. We stop and we meet and go hunting, or we come in from hunting. And you might have a meal, and you might even have a beer. And there, I know, like down in Magnolia, there was a club where they bring in pheasants and eat them. But it's not a standard practice unless you've got some data to show me that you can back that up. That's not a standard practice in Wisconsin that I'm aware of.
I've talked to 2 or 3 different clubs around the state that do a similar type practice, and we can gather letters or affidavits if you want to see that. But it's my understanding in talking to people that are in that industry that it is a common thing for the, I mean, some hunting clubs have a facility like this and some don't. But the ones that do, my understanding and what I've been told is that there is a common practice to make that available to their members on a limited basis for certain events.
Excuse me. Sure. For those that do, it's a common practice. You make the argument in your letter that it's a standard practice across hunting preserves in the state of Wisconsin. And you're basing that on having talked to a few, and the one he has experience with don't do it. So the argument that it's a standard practice across the state of Wisconsin doesn't hold.
I think the majority of these facilities that have this
Where's
type
the
of
data?
lodge, we can provide you with an extensive list if you need to.
Well, no, I'm sorry, you brought up the argument. You provide the data.
I'd be happy to do that. Beyond that, the point is that from the get-go, Mr. Davis and Mrs. Davis made clear that they had a lodge, that this was.
Excuse me. I was here. You weren't. From the
I'm-
get-go, they have not made it clear. They've been very reluctant to give out information about their practices.
That's not
And
true.
only, sorry, I heard it. Only when pressed have we learned things. So you.
I
your
clearly
letter-
was not at these meetings, but I
No,
think
your letter refers to full disclosure, and that's not been my experience.
I think it goes on both the board and on the applicant in each one of these cases to flesh out what should be and should not be within the confines of these
Excuse
permits.
me. The applicant is asking to have a conditional use permit under the ordinances. The burden is on them to make the case. The burden is not on the board or the plan commission to make the case.
And they have presented, I mean, they went ahead and got a building permit from your town referencing this conditional use permit to build this hunting lodge. I mean, what other purpose would there be other than to serve their members and to hold these types of events in a facility of this